career in real estate, and extra resources. Thank you. Alrighty, so what is real estate? So the real estate industry is huge. A lot of people think it's just flipping houses and being a realtor. Well, it's way more than just that. There's property development, appraisals, you could work in insurance, there's marketing, you could sell, there's leasing, investing, you could be a property manager, so many different avenues that you could take. And like it says here, the real estate market, it fluctuates, you know, it goes up and down, but the more you know about the industry, the easier it is to know when is a good time to get started. So next slide. So there's several different types of real estate. Today, we're gonna be focusing on residential and commercial, but I'll say a little bit about land. A lot of people, I've been seeing a lot of ads on buying land, buying land. What you got to understand in real estate is land, there's very specific types of land. One type of land is raw land. So if you see an ad that says like buy land in Texas for $15,000, okay, well, you got to check if that land is raw or developed. If it's raw land, it means that there's no development. There's no water lines, there's no electricity, nothing. So it's going to be much harder to develop on that land than if it was already developed. So most of the time you'll see like in Southern California, if you're going to find it hard to find land that's developed because it's way more expensive than just basic raw land. All right, next slide. Okay, so the overview of the real estate industry. Like I said before, it could there's several different branches of real estate, development, sales and marketing. You could get into brokerage, property management, lending, and professional services such as law and accounting. So many different branches. Next slide. Okay, and now I'm gonna hand it over to Sanika.
Hi guys, so the first thing that we're going to be talking about is residential real estate, and I think the basic idea to understand what is the difference between residential and other forms like commercial real estate is that these properties are used for residential purposes. So the main idea is that if I were to buy a house and I end up saying, like, you know, I'm going to sell this out to people, or I'm going to rent rooms out to people, that turns into commercial, which is what Allegra is going to be talking about later. But it is strictly used for our own purposes and our own families. So that's like the huge difference between like a residential home for us and something that is more commercial, such as like an apartment. And so some examples of residential real estate, like residential properties, are like single family homes, condos, cooperatives, duplexes, townhouse, and multifamily residences. Next slide, please. So the thought that most people get when talking about real estate is residential real estate, right? And the whole, like, when I know that a lot of times when I talk about my interest in real estate to family members, they're like, oh, so you want to be a real estate agent? Do you want to be a broker for residential real estate? And then I have to sit there and say, no, I kind of want to go into real estate investing or real estate finance and like talk about the different avenues that I've learned about in my time at Cal Poly. And so like, this is like the main thing. And it makes sense because real estate, I don't know if everyone's heard this from their mom or dad at some point, is your house is your biggest asset. And it's true for the most part because consumption spending on housing services make about roughly 12 to 13% of GDP. And that sounds like a very small number in terms of GDP, but that could easily come up to $1 trillion. And that is because a lot of people like think about real estate as residential real estate. They don't know that there's more to it, like real estate investing or commercial properties. And so the great thing and the most interesting part of residential real estate is that every real estate asset is unique. So I saw a lot of people who are, you know, in fundamentals of real estate with Welk or Orlando. So you're going to learn about this in the next week or so in fundamentals. But the whole idea behind this uniqueness in real estate assets is one, heterogeneity and immobility. So heterogeneity is basically, yes, outside of a house can look exactly the same, like in a condominium complex, apartment complex, but the inside is incredibly different. So, like, I could decide I want a pink house, and everything inside the house is completely pink. Every appliance is pink, but like, let's say Martin wants a blue house. And so he's going to have every single part of his house blue. And that's about heterogeneity because my style for my house and where I'm living is going to be completely different from everyone else's. And even if it's similar, there's always going to be something about it that's different that goes towards the price of the house or the value of that house. The other part is immobility, which is, I've when I was a little kid, I was so sad when I left my childhood home. I wanted to just pick it up and take it with me to the next place I was moving to. And I'm sure a lot of us have had that experience with our first childhood home. And that's the thing of it, right? Like you can't move your house. It's a lot of money. It's stuck to the land. And that's kind of where this is. Your house is going to be like the value of your house, the way that your asset is unique is based on where it's at. And that can come into accessibility of like schools. There's Zillow and other places, there is rankings of how good the school system is. So like how does your middle school compare to middle schools in the area? How does your high school and elementary school compare to high schools and elementary schools in the area? And then another part is a healthcare. How accessible is healthcare to you? There's also employment factors. Can you get to your work or get to some form of employment within 5 to 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, etc.? And then of course, shopping centers, there's so much about it that can add to that immobility or accessibility factor. The other two parts about the markets of residential real estate is one, localized markets, and that goes in hand with heterogeneity and immobility. You are always competing with someone 5 to 10 minutes away. Whether you're buying your house and you have to compete with tons of other people to buy that specific house, or sell your house and you're competing with then the other hot house on the market, there's always going to be someone you're competing with. That goes into the idea of segmented markets, which talks about heterogeneity. So I'm looking for something specific in my house, but the main idea is that, if I want a single family home, that's going to cause my house hunting to be very centered around a particular set of characteristics. And that could be for the next person and the next person. So that's where that segmentation comes in. You may want the interior to be different, but the exterior and what is in your house is going to be extremely similar to what other people want, like multifamily, townhouses, condos, etc. I'm going to pass it off to Allegra, who's going to talk about commercial real estate.
Thank you, Seneca. So, commercial real estate is pretty broad. I'll try to give my best to give you guys an overview of what essentially is. So, mainly people have this idea of commercial real estate looking like those buildings, right? But there's so much more into that. So, I'll be going more into depth with that. And when you think commercial real estate is any building or land intended to generate profit, which yes, that is true. It's a lot of investors in commercial real estate that do look to make that extra cash, and this could either be through capital gains or rental income, but essentially it surrounds around properties that are for business related purposes. And the awesome thing about commercial real estate, it's such a huge job market. And I noticed in the industry working here, it's like young blood is really needed. I don't see a lot of young people in commercial real estate, right? It's mainly, I always just see older individuals, which that makes sense, right? But it's funny. Commercial real estate wasn't really loved as much. It was something that in the 80s or 90s that was like the hot market, right? Like if you're in real estate, that's hot, mostly in the 80s, from what I've heard. And then right now it's kind of like if you're in technology, that's hot, right? But it's coming back, right? People are seeing that you can make big, you could win the big fish with commercial real estate because there's a lot of money in it. So let's move on to the next slide. All right, so I'm going to be going to depth with property types. So, the property types in commercial real estate, CRE, is we have our offices, our industrial, retail, multifamily, and specialty. So know, everyone, to be considered a commercial property, the multifamily property has to have 5 units or more. It doesn't have 5 units. If it's 5 units or less, it's not considered commercial real estate. All right, so in depth with property types, subcategories of office. We have our office class A, class B, class C. And I see this mostly with people that work in the Inland Empire office. So class A, it's considered, I'm actually working at a class A office. So class A, newer buildings, right? We have our marble floors, our glass fixtures, and high-rise buildings. Then we have class B, good quality. But good quality, still good quality like class A, but mainly 2 stories. Then we have class C, which is kind of like an office condo, mainly used for like law firms, etc. And then we have a medical. What's a medical in office? So a medical MOB, it's a medical office, which those buildings require more parking, power, plumbing, require more electricity because think about it, it's a medical office, some rooms require more of that. And then we have multi-tenant. So food for thought, what type of office building do you guys work in, or have you seen in your area? So going into, okay, yeah, good point. Someone said mixed use. Yes, there is mixed use. I think I should have added that onto property types, which is true. So mixed use is it's a use of, let's just say, commercial and residential. So we usually see this in LA, where at the bottom we have a commercial, so someone's selling, and then on top we have people that are living there. But this creates kind of like a sort of a sometimes an issue. I've seen it from what I've heard. Like I remember, I think it was Orlando was saying like he was living at someone was renting the commercial side, and it was a restaurant during the day and it was a bar at night. So, and he was living on the top. So imagine like it's 12 at night and you just hear boom, 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 like someone just partying. It's a bar. Yeah, I'd be upset. So there's a lot of a little tension on that. And then, okay, so going into industrial, I like this one. I live in the Inland Empire, so I know I see industrial properties everywhere in the Inland Empire. So we have our distribution centers. So the purpose of distribution centers is the property, and the purpose of the property is to facilitate logistics and versus a warehouse where the purpose of storing goods, which this means trucks are coming in and out. So when we talk about a Amazon logistics center, we are thinking that this is a distribution center, right? We see a lot of that in the Inland Empire. So some things that distribution centers have to think about is about traffic flow, about geography, right? Because this is where good real estate market research comes on in, and this is where CoStar comes in as well. And a fun fact, actually, Amazon will be opening its 14th distribution center in the Inland Empire, and the newest one is to be 4 stories big. And no, the Inland Empire is the strongest, and I emphasize the strongest because it really is one of the strongest industrial markets in the entire world. And why? because it's a twofold process here. It's a proximity of the port of Long Beach and the, you know, the Los Angeles ports. So also, because the Inland Empire has so much land, right? It just continues on and on and on, and you just see a lot of industrial, which is flat buildings. But you know, they do have an advantage that they bring billions of revenue because of this, but this creates a lot of traffic. So if you're ever driving on the 15 Barstow area, you know, going up, there's just so much traffic, and there's trucks, because trucks are going to distribution centers or warehouse. But this creates a lot of pollution as well. So the IE, pretty interesting in that case. But we don't see that in Orange County or LA. Like we don't see that, like the amount of land that the Inland Empire has, which it has to its advantage.
And I
So-
wanted to add something quick
Yeah.
about industrial. And in the comments, like Andres mentioned that it was booming last year, and it's been proven that industrial is like that sector of commercial real estate that's recession proof and, you know, pandemic proof, because although we are taking back from, you know, buying houses and, you know, spending in the market and the economy, there are still going to be things that need to be fulfilled by distribution centers. You know, the place that you buy stuff from Costco, that's a warehouse, but they have offshore, they have areas where they also store things. Amazon, like how Allegra was mentioning, they need their own distribution centers because they can't have everything in one warehouse. There's multiple warehouses depending on where you live and where you're trying to get that product to, right? Delivered. That's why we have Amazon Prime, right? And that's the amazing thing. Like people at CBRE, I went to this panel a year ago, and I'm pretty sure, you know, eBoard is tired of me talking about this panel, but it was amazing because in that panel with CBRE, there were two people from industrial, but they were just, there was that one question of like, how have you guys been coping with pandemic? And they were just sitting there like, we haven't had a problem. Because there's always going to be a need to build warehouses. There's always going to be a need to build manufacturing. And these companies have the ability, these big companies have the ability to make them because there's always a supply and a demand, even if it's small. So that's like kind of like a little like idea behind why industrial was booming so much, or why it's kind of, I would say, the quote unquote better of the others. Like I also love industrial. It's really interesting. But yeah, just wanted to add that real quick.
Thank you. That's a great point, Sanika. Do we have a question here? Yeah, the more industrial. That is correct. So the more and I'll be speaking a little bit of that. You know how we see the consumer shift that being people purchasing so much online. You know that creates a lot of industrial, and you know the growth for industrial real estate is just booming. And you know, from what I hear at work, which was, I thought it was pretty interesting, that industrial wasn't viewed really, it was viewed kind of, it was not pretty negatively, right? It wasn't something hot to be in, like industrial commercial. Like, you know, you wouldn't see the sophisticated brokers or realtors, you know, going into that, you know, and that wasn't good, because that industry is, that sector is booming now. It's the hottest, right? Until Amazon broke it all. You know, it was the ugly guys working on that. Now it's like, yeah, if you want to be hot, want to make that big money, yeah, you go into industrial. What was hot was retail, right? Everyone wanted to broker the retail properties, which that's not the case now. Retail is actually, you know, it's kind of like gonna stay away from that because it wasn't doing so well during the pandemic, and we'll be going on to that. But let me finish off for industrial. So like I said, we have the strongest industrial market in the country, bringing in billions in revenue, and that's in the Inland Empire. You know, we're proud to be able to host that. So going into heavy industrial and light versus light industrial, you know, what is that? So heavy industrial is mostly like, you're dealing with heavy stuff like manufacturing, auto parts, engines, you know, that stuff is considered heavy. which light industrial is fabrication, maybe food, that sort of stuff. And then we hit flex. So we see, I hear this term a lot in when we're lending to a industrial property. So flex is basically a lighter industrial use with office incorporated. Ellie mentioned mixed use. This would be considered mostly a mixed use because it's a mixed use of office and industrial. Many of you maybe work in a flex because it does incorporate that office. So let's just say an example would be a dealership. You have the side where they fix the parts of the cars and all that sort of stuff, and then you have the office side where it's you have your office. They come in. We're negotiating a deal with they have their plumbing, their kitchen, their office, etc. Okay, so going into retail, I like this one. It's super fun, but a little background on retail. Since COVID, retail took a huge shift, right? Big brands were closing, malls weren't doing so hot. Consumer spending was shifting towards online. People want something different. Like why do I have to go in person when I can just get it on Amazon, get it on the next day? Personally, I don't believe this. I like going to a mall. I like getting my stuff like right there and then, but everyone has their own preference. But we see this, it makes sense because technology was just accelerated, because of COVID. We have just this huge shift to the digital. So consumers wanted something different, and we see now that people are looking into more entertainment spots. So, what do you mean by entertainment? So, this is kind of, going into the lifestyle centers of retail. So a lifestyle center is essentially malls, right? Outdoor malls like, your Victoria Gardens, your Dos Lagos, the Grove, Irvine Spectrum, all lifestyle centers. And this is growing in popularity because it incorporates entertainment and things to do. So if you go to the Irvine Spectrum, they have escape rooms as tenants. They have, what did I see the other day? Like a VR video game center, Ferris wheel. People love that because it's something to do rather than just walk around, looking at a store, boring old stuff. Like we've seen that, we've done that. I can go online and buy that, right? What is there to do? What's something fun? People want that. Tyler Mall has a mini golfing in their mall. So that's the outlook for retail. We're looking at more entertainment spots. So power centers. Power centers are shopping centers with big boxes. So we have like anchors like Kohl's, Target, Best Buy, TJ Maxx. You got your incline spaces with the T-Mobile, Verizon, frozen yogurt spots, etc. Spots like that. Neighborhood centers. We have, not like the big box, mostly like you have your little supermarkets, like your little Stater Brothers. You got your Home Depot, fast food around the area, but you won't see like a Best Buy with them, right? You're gonna like a neighborhood center, and you'll see that around your neighborhood. And that's a good point. If you guys see around your neighborhoods, you probably live close to one of those. Convenience centers, it's a multi-center, but doesn't have the big anchor. It's just like they call them strip malls. And then we have a standalone. So if you guys see like a just a restaurant, like an Islands or like a Party City, is just there, standalones. I usually see these in the Rancho Cucamonga area. They're just like little just restaurants, like randomly in little centers. But something for everyone, write in the chat the retail property that you mostly go to. I personally mostly go to neighborhood centers just because I live close to one. I need to go get food, going to the supermarkets. I'm probably going to the neighborhood the most. If I want to do something fun, obviously I'll be going to a life center. But yeah, just write in the chat, like what's the retail property that you mostly go to? All right, so specialties. This one's interesting. There's a lot to consider in this one. So, we never considered it, but churches are a commercial real estate property. Actually, I'm working at the bank right now, and one of the deals, we're lending to a church. It's pretty interesting. You see that churches they're not finance people. So it's kind of difficult dealing with kind of obtaining all their financial stuff. Like they're kind of a mess, but working with one is interesting, but cool enough. They're commercial, right? They're trying to buy the land, So, as a bank, as a lending side, I want to see how can you pay us back? How do I know, where do your finances come in? Funny enough, they need an accountant because they do not deal with finances. It's just not their thing. So going on to schools is commercial property. They use big amount of land. It's a specialty. Hospitals as well. They require special requirements. Hospitality, resorts, motels, commercial property. That one's interesting enough. Actually, that is one of the riskiest commercial investments. But you know what? It's if you can work that, it can give you a huge reward. There's also huge expenses on hotels, but hospitality was the worst. I think it was way worse affected than retail. Why? Because no one was going to a hotel. No one was taking vacations. So this was really badly affected. All right, so then we have auto dealerships, specialty, truck yards, self-storage. Someone owns all these units and charges people rents. And this one's interesting. And this would be a good investment because you don't have to deal with a lot. There's not really much expense to it. You buy a unit, you rent a unit, and you don't deal with it. It's just a storage, right? But there's a background to it. Most of these uses are only allowed within special zones. And if we all know, California is like crazy with regulations, like actually the worst. It's the worst with regulations. Like if you go into Texas, there's not much regulation. If you go to Florida, you won't really get a lot. California, oh my God, the zones, the regulations, it's terrible. So it's kind of tough getting through the city and the permits. It's a lot. So most of these users are only within special zones, under commercial zones. And this is permitted with the city only. So if you have good connections with the city, it could process your permits faster. I think, yeah, so I'm going to talk a little bit about, transaction types, commercial real estate transaction types, but briefly. So a lease, if anyone's ever heard of a lease, someone owns a property. It's a legal property right, but granting the right of ownership temporarily to someone for a fixed term at a fixed price. So scenario, I own a huge multi-tenant retail center and one of you guys owns a business. So let's say you've done your research and you love the retail center I own, and you say that you want your business in my center. So you come to me, we discuss, you want to lease a spot for 5 years. And so we got a contract going, right? And these are called lease abstracts, which I have to read at work. And there's such a read, you guys. There's very dry language. Because usually an attorney is writing these. This is where the real estate attorney is going to, or a broker. So both of us have ownership to the spot. I have the legal ownership, but you're owning that spot for a fixed time. So they lease a spot for 5 years. We got a contract going. But mind you, restricted amount of time with a specific cost. And mind you, I'm still the owner, therefore I have to pay property tax, and I'm allowed to come to your space when I'm allowed. When I, there's more to it because there's different types of leases. So then we have a triple net, modified gross, but that's just going into more depth. Usually we see more of that triple net, which the tenant is paying for everything. I'll be the owner. I don't have to deal with much of it. It's the tenant that's dealing with all. So they're paying for, they're paying for that insurance. They're paying for that property tax, all in their lease. So a sublease. Essentially, a sublease is you're leasing from someone who is leasing that space. And, something that you could consider is like, for example, a Vons, which they're subleasing to Starbucks, right? That's a sublease. So it's someone that's leasing a property and then you're subleasing to another owner. So purchase and sale, owners and owner and user, you're occupying the whole building or at least a portion for their own use. Sales the property to another owner. So essentially you're the owner of the building. You're using most of it. And then we're going into like the investment sale. So someone who owns a property and does not occupy it, and they sell it for investment purposes. Whether it's through building equity in the value or cash flow in the value. And typically we see it's a combo of both. And the reason why we separate them is because we look at the commercial real estate and side and into different finance, and they require different financing options available. So I think that's about it. So next slide.
So now we'll be talking about careers in real estate. As we've seen earlier, we kind of had an overview of commercial real estate and residential real estate. And obviously there's more than just the real estate agent or broker as a career path. We have like analysts, appraiser, building inspector, commercial broker. There's just so much more that you can go into if you're thinking about going into real estate after college or majoring it here at Cal Poly. For me, at first, I kind of started off as just thinking of joining this club so I could do real estate on the side, like as an agent on the side. But then, after kind of meeting with the club for a year, I realized, oh, there's more than just being a real estate agent or a broker.
If I could chime in, if you hadn't seen this list, would you guys be able to give like 5 different types of jobs within real estate? It'd be kind of tough because I just feel like it's not advertised enough. Like so much is advertising, being a realtor, being a broker, being a realtor. So there's so much you could do within real estate. And this is just, the most common jobs that you could find, but there's so much more. So next slide. And then, so at Cal Poly, this is how you could start, your path into real estate. If you are considering maybe being a realtor or a broker, in California, you need to be 18 years or older. Out of state residents have other requirements. For a broker, it's the same requirements, but also you need to have minimum of 2 years full-time licensed salesperson experience within the past 5 years, or 2 years of unlicensed equivalent experience. So let's say if you're an assistant to a broker or something. Or the cool thing about us is you could have a 4-year degree with a major/minor in real estate. And the next slide will show you the type of classes that you could have or you could take to fulfill those requirements. So this is just the requirements of to take the test. So for a salesperson is basically just an agent. You need 3 classes. So it's that real estate, it's FRL 4872 at Cal Poly, and fundamentals of real estate. If you're an FRL major, you're gonna have to take that anyway. And then for electives, you gotta pick one of the select few. And then for a broker, you need 5 classes. Actually, I'm sorry, 8 classes. So 5 are required and you need 3 electives. And the list is right there. So a lot of, if you look at the required classes, a lot of it is classes we've already been taking. So we're already a step ahead if you're an FRL major. So, and I'm gonna pass it off to Allegra for the last slide, please.
Okay, so I've spoke about this before in the importance of, just networking is so essential in commercial real estate and in any job that you get into, but it increases your credibility with clients, and it gives you access to people, to resources, educational opportunities, that you can enhance your career. And to be part of it, there's associations and organizations that are highly regarded among commercial real estate professionals, and we have a list here. And some of them are very specific. So for example, Realtors Land Institute, they're just realtors. Then we have COR, mainly they're brokers, but they're mostly focusing in the industrial and office sector. And then we have Urban Land Institute. Their focus is urban land. CREW, Commercial Real Estate Women. It's a group of women, advancing women in commercial real estate. So whatever career you're trying to pursue in commercial real estate, do your research. What are some organizations that you can start to step your foot to get to enter and get that connections, because mostly people that join these organizations are big companies, right? Because they want to do connections. So it's just great for just looking for jobs and educational purpose as well. They do a lot of fun events. If you look at CREW, they always host like dinners. They had a wine tasting event the other day, and just to network and just to get to know one another. So I think next slide we'll finish it off with there.
And just to chime in a little bit for that, real estate is a social industry. So communicating with people, networking with people is how you get ahead in real estate. The more people you know, the more opportunities can present themselves. So that's why it's good to join these organizations, so you could have a step ahead. But that concludes our workshop for today. Thank you so much for staying. Like I said before, I really encourage people to go to the multiplex site tour. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to Los Angeles. The date is tentative because we need to be approved by student services, but the professor is good to go. The date is flexible. So we just want to see how many people are interested. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. At first, we're going to get to see the area of LA. So if you guys aren't familiar with Los Angeles, it's a nice town. So the idea is just to get more experience into what goes on in a development. So I definitely encourage you guys to join. And again, we meet every Thursday, so thank you so much. Next week, we have actually a realtor guest speaker. So if you guys can make it, he can give you a tutorial on how to purchase a home if you guys are interested. It's a good time. Interest rates are low. So if you guys, before they keep going up, you guys want to purchase a home anytime soon, it gives you an idea of the requirements of what you need. And it's going to be a good session next week. So just keep posted. Thank you so much, you guys. And if you guys have any questions or comments, just please let us know. And then one more thing, if you guys haven't signed in, please let us know so we could shoot you the link.
Also, we're looking to expand our e-board. If you guys, looking for, joining a dynamic team, shoot over us an email message, DM us on Instagram if interested in joining our team and what we do. So Andres, if you want to speak on that.
Yeah, so basically, being an e-board member not only gives you the opportunity to see the world of real estate more in depth, you get the opportunity to connect with people, to meet with people, to be a part of a community, of a society, of people that want to pursue this industry. And definitely, like, if you guys are interested in being part of the club, I highly encourage it, because for me, the club is amazing, because going to Cal Poly just didn't mean just going to classes, but also being a part of something, and if we can leave our mark at Cal Poly as an e-board, you could definitely join too, and that would be amazing. So I highly encourage you guys to join. I'll send you a link to the My Bar if you guys haven't joined the club, but I highly encourage you guys to apply for the positions. We have a scheduler position and a social media position. So if you guys think that you are a little tech savvy or something, can help out with social media, that would help a lot. If you want to help with scheduling, again, just give us shoot us an email and let us know.
Yeah, and the social media position, you'll be working with our current marketing director, Heidi. And if you see a lot of her, she is the brains essentially behind, our PowerPoints, the templates behind those, whatever you see on Instagram and our social media, she is like the brains and then the head behind that. So you'll be working with her to like spruce it up more, just working together to find new ideas on how to create content and send content out. So even if you don't believe that you're the best at tech, but you think that you have a lot of creative ideas, like hands down join, you're going to be working not only with Heidi, but you're gonna be working with all of us, and we're always here to support everyone in the e-board.
Thank you guys. Thank you on for joining on. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, everyone. Make sure to connect with us through My Bar, through Instagram. Just keep you guys updated. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for joining.
Are you guys announcing the new people positions like later?
Yeah,
just hold on.
I saw a position was whited out, but
we're just thinking. We're going through the application process. We got a lot of applicants here.
We'll keep you posted, Ellie.
We'll keep you posted, Ellie.
Okay.
See if we can fit you in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll see you guys.
For coming, okay?
Later, guys.
What's up, man?
A lot of love for you, Martin. Thank you for coming on, man.
Oh, no worries, dude. Yeah, it's been rough because I just got surgery on Monday, but I'm okay today to log on this one and show support,
Yeah,
we
dude.
miss you.
You're welcome anytime, dude. So if you can make it, go ahead. If it doesn't hurt your eye,
Yeah,
No, I'm
please
good.
put your eye
Don't-
recovery first.
Don't strain yourself, but
Yeah, I've been bedridden for like the last few days, so I've been like,
get those what's it called? The blue light glasses.
oh yeah, my glasses already have that. It's like a blue light filter.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, I
How
just
do you
want to
feel?
come
You
out and
feel
say hi.
good?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm not in too much pain. I just have to put in these drops like 4 times a day, and that's like really annoying. And my eye is like swollen shut. But I think in a few weeks it'll be better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice, dude. Well, I'm glad you got it handled. It sucks that it took so long for you to realize what was going on, you know?
Yeah, just like they kept dragging their feet and everything, but I was lucky enough to get the best care possible at USC, so hopefully everything goes good.
We're definitely missing you, man. It's such a bummer you couldn't make it this semester, but I'm glad you got to prioritize your health, and in the end, I mean, it's all going to pay off. It's just a
Yeah.
little rest versus you sucking it up and then having to deal with this for the rest of your life.
Yeah, because I didn't realize like I had actually lost like, a good amount of my vision, and then once I did the surgery and I went to the checkup the next day, like I realized at that point like how much vision I had actually lost because now it came back.
So you could see afterwards.
Yeah, because it's just like
That's crazy.
a good amount of my peripheral vision was basically gone, but I didn't realize it. Yeah,
How'd you think the meeting went?
I thought it was good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, isn't this the first one?
Second one.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, it was great.
We had a pretty good turnout, like 4 people
30.
on e-board, and rest of them were like, it was in the 30s, so higher than last time too.
Yeah, I thought it was great. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
probably come to all the meetings.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Because I don't
But
have
yeah.
like I dropped all my classes now, so I don't really have anything to do right now.
Like I said before, dude, if you want to go out to lunch or something, if you even could do that,
Yeah, I think in about like 3 to 4 weeks, my eyes should be like de-swelled enough for me to be able to go out. It's just that my doctor told me basically not to do anything, not to go outside.
Yeah.
I just have to stay at home and basically be in like a dark ass room for like a while.
Dang.
Yeah, that can get really hard, but if you need anything from us, like, let us know.
Yeah,
If you
definitely.
just need company, like, we'll be outside your place just in case, but we'll be like, hi Martin, we're here, like.
I'll
like,
get you groceries, bro, if you need.
Oh no, dude, it's all good. All right, dudes.
All right,
I'll see you
man.
next time.
It was good seeing you. I'll see you next
too.
time.
Later.
One thing that I wanted to quickly talk about is we should definitely meet up with Robert and make some really cool flyers for like the guest speakers, just because I really want a lot of people to come for at least the Robert one, because he's like a really well-known, like he's a big podcaster and like he's a great resource. Like I've already said this like 50 billion times, so we definitely need to like pull the stops for that one.
Yeah, we will.
If that's the one, Andres, that you want to pay CPP memes for, do it. This is the one.
I was gonna pay again this week, but I was like, I don't want
I
to
want to
pay
do it for
every
all
week.
of them because he's
just for a
ripping
big
people
one.
off. Like he's literally using his platform for income. Like $10 just to be posted on your story one time. Like that's a complete and utter ripoff.
Yeah, that's dumb.
Where?
CPP memes, like basically the person who owned the account changed because he graduated, but like he would post these things for free. And so like if you just say, hey, could you post this on your like story, he'd do it for free without hesitation. This new guy's charging $10. So it's like you can just go to UBSS and do it for free there too. And like we can pull
But
this
they
up.
posted something from us.
Yeah, because Andres paid for the first meeting.
Yeah,
Oh.
$10.
Someone's interested in joining the
Yeah, I saw that.
Yo, so okay, who's on right now? Who's
Just
on
us
right now?
4.
Okay, I'm gonna remove this guy. So
Yeah, I think he
you
just
guys-
fell asleep.
yeah, let's discuss about the workshop. How did it go?
I think
Present